Yo, what's up guys? It is me, Double D. So this is me and Frans holding our dog Dana. This is a picture taken a while ago from me and my friend, Yuri. This is me and my sister. Now, from ever when I've been young, people have always been asking me, how is it that you are not the same color as your father and your mother? How is it that your sister is really black and you're just like half black? And I always tell them one very simple thing. Are you seeing what the birthplace is saying? That's right. I was born in São Paulo, Brazil. So, seeing from the title, I went back to Brazil. So this whole story started on a Tuesday night when I got a FaceTime call from my sister. On January 29th, I turned 21 years old. On February 8th, my sister turned 20 years old. On February 9th, she would fly to Brazil for her vacation. This vacation would last about 4 or 5 months. On the 13th of March, I got a FaceTime call from my sister at around 10 p.m. I took the FaceTime call and got this incredible, I still can't describe it, incredible message. And that was one very simple message actually. She had found our biological mother. So for me, very honestly, I have never really had a feeling of going back, so I had already let go. And that really sounds horrible to say, but I had let Brazil for me in the past. But now being here and having the opportunity to go back really made a difference for me. So I was really thinking about it. Didn't actually sleep much the Wednesday after that one. I didn't go to school. I searched online for plane tickets and I found one. I called my parents and we talked about it. I went to work, then went home to my parents' house. When I arrived at my parents', the first thing that I did was pack my passport because that was still at my parents' house. So I needed to get my passport, and also I grabbed a few pictures so we could give those to family members in Brazil. And I went to sleep. And that was actually my night at my parents' house. It was really quick and a really short night because I had to wake up really early because my flight would leave at 9:55 after midnight. So the big day was there. It was Thursday and my flight was leaving at 9:55 a.m. So the first thing that I had to do was walk all the way over to the station, grab the intercity to Schiphol, also the airport, and then my flight would leave at 9:55 towards São Paulo, Brazil. So like I said, it was a long flight, but it was a flight during the day, so I mainly watched a few movies. But in the end of the flight, we actually got handed these forms, and I got one here. I took it with me. So yeah, this is like basic information that we had to fill in to get into the country. Like where you live, how old you are. So I filled this in, but I had a bit of a problem filling it in because I didn't know what to fill in and what I didn't need to fill in. So this German woman actually helped me fill in this form, which was really nice. And I actually got her card. There you go. And her name was Carla, and I got her card right here. Yeah, it's like little memories that I'm gonna keep. And also something small, she offered me some Mentos and I kept the package, I don't know why. So I arrived in São Paulo and it was late, very late in the evening, and my sister picked me up from Røde, if I pronounced it right, highly likely not, the airport. But then we arrived at the hostel. Now the hostel was pretty okay. We did have separate places to sleep, separate for men and separate for women. So after I was done unpacking, I walked back up to see my sister. We actually talked and I met this really awesome lady, and she's known by the name Louise Edimo, if I pronounced this right, but by the whole world she's known by the name of Mother Africa, and She actually gave me this. I would like to call it sombrero. And that was like her gift to me. It's awesome, I still have it, and for people who know me, I love hats. I got a lot of hats, so this is perfect. It fits perfectly with this together. This is also from Brazil. After we were done talking, we went back down and we went to sleep. It was a long flight, so I really wanted to sleep, and yeah, it was just a long day for me. So Friday started early in the morning. We had to wake up, I think it was before 10, to get breakfast. And the breakfast was really nice because we were sleeping separate. I didn't know if she was already down there, so I just went down, grabbed some breakfast. And then I looked back. I saw that Mother Africa was just sitting behind me. She went back up and my sister came back down. We had breakfast together, and yeah, after that we would go into Brazil to see our grandmother. Yes. My sister had found our grandmother in Brazil, and we were planning on going there Friday. Mother Africa was kind enough to help us make this all possible, because very simply said, in Brazil they speak Portuguese and I don't speak any Portuguese. My sister doesn't speak any Portuguese. We wouldn't be able to talk with anybody, even with our own family, because they only speak Portuguese. Mother Africa just said, well, I'm just gonna help you, and it was awesome to have somebody with us that actually spoke the language, because that made everything so much easier. We went by foot to the subway. From the subway we walked to this church. This house had been like designed from the inside as like a church and like a little shop. And we walked in there. We were sitting down for like 5 minutes, and then this woman came through the door. And the crazy part is I didn't recognize her. My sister also didn't recognize her, but like the feeling of her walking in, we already knew like this is the one. Yeah, first few minutes just hugging, crying, and then because we had Mother Africa with us, she was able to translate the whole conversation between us. In one way it's like, I don't want to say awkward, but hard, because you're talking to somebody like close to you, like family, but the whole conversation is delayed. It goes through a whole long process, but just having the possibility to even talk to, you know, family, that was just crazy. And I didn't say blood, because this is very interesting. Like, you know, I've been adopted, but this is really like blew my own mind. Our grandmother adopted our mother. Romana is her name, and thank you for adopting our mother. Thank you if you're watching this. Muito obrigado, Romana. Romana actually invited us to get lunch at the church, which was like really nice. We had lunch there, it was perfect food. So after that meeting we went outside and we split up with Mother Africa. We walked just through the streets of São Paulo, and my sister took me to this place, and I can't remember the name, but it was a graffiti street. It has beautiful images. I say images because they're just done so beautifully, and there were like street artists, and I could do this thing with this bubble. It was an amazing experience. I later on, like 500 meters from that street, also met this French dude, which actually inspired me to get this GoPro setup, which I'm using right now. So yeah, I just kept on learning. It was the best experience so far, you know, already. And we're just on the Friday. So my sister and I were done, and we wanted to take an Uber ride back to the hostel. We came past this tattoo shop and we were like, hey, I wanted to get a tattoo. And she said, well, you want to get a tattoo? So we jumped out to Uber, paid the Uber of course, went to the tattoo shop, and I talked to the man in charge. I talked for like half an hour about the design, and he drawn something up, and I would come back tomorrow, you know, the next day at Saturday at 12, and he would show me his design, and I likely, if I liked it, would put it down. So after that, my sister and I went to have some dinner. Really nice, like really cheap. It's crazy. You know, you can have dinner for like 5 or 10 euros. So we went to pick up our bags at the one hostel and brought them to another hostel where we were sleeping that night, because we were switching hostels. We switched rooms twice because the first room didn't have like working Wi-Fi or something. It just wasn't good enough. So we switched rooms, but in the other room the Wi-Fi wasn't working at all, so we went back again. After that we just went to sleep. I watched a few episodes of The Flash, and after that I went to sleep and thought about all of the things that happened today. Saturday I started with a shower, with a breakfast, and during the breakfast was really cool. We met 2 other Dutch people. My sister got in a conversation with them. It was awesome, but for me there was this feeling I wasn't feeling well, and at that moment I highly had an allergic reaction to the towels that they used in the hostel. So I showered again, but I used a different towel, and I would go to the tattoo shop. And the 2 Dutch people called Miriam and Sebastian actually went with me to the tattoo shop, which was awesome. So we arrived at the tattoo shop and I got to see the design. It was awesome, and yeah, I just put it down. It's very easy like this. And really funny, totally unexpected, Miriam and Sebastian, while they were there, also put down a tattoo, both of them. It was a crazy experience. We were there at, I think, 11:45. I had a meeting at 12, you know, to put down the tattoo. My sister also later on the day came, and we left the tattoo shop and around, I think, 8 p.m. I think it was even later. So we spent a good 8 or 9 hours in the tattoo shop. It was an awesome experience. The tattoo shop has a history. It is the first tattoo shop in Brazil. If I have my facts right, that's what they told me. The man that owned the shop did not tattoo me, but he has been working for 35 years. Has crazy work. It was just awesome. The man tattooing me is named Arthur, and really cool to my opinion is that Arthur is also the name of one of my best friends. So yeah, it all came together. It was really cool for me. So after our day at the tattoo shop, we went, the 4 of us, my sister and the 2 other Dutch people, we went to have a dinner at this, I think, Chinese place it was. Had some nice dinner. We took a ride back to the hostel and went to sleep. And that was our Saturday. It was a really chill day, but also a really cool day that we met new people. It was, like I said, every experience here was something that will be imprinted for the rest of my life. This was a crazy experience. Sunday was the second most crazy day for me. Sunday I met my family, and with my family I mean my aunt, my other aunt, my uncle, and my 13-year-old brother. The day started out with us waking up at the hostel, having breakfast like normal, and after that we met up right in front of our hostel, and our aunts would just arrive over there and would go into São Paulo, have something to drink. My first aunt arrived with her, you know, husband, my uncle. And the crazy part was, I wanted to film this for you guys, like meeting them for the first time, but I saw my little brother, and I was like, damn. But what I'm trying to say is, like, the resemblance that I saw was just crazy. And I remember one of the most early friends that I made in the Netherlands, called Esme. If you're watching this, thank you. Always said that my smile, this little smile that I have, was like the David smirk. And right there in Brazil, I saw my brother doing the same smile. And that was so crazy to finally look at somebody else and see some resemblance. And I hope you guys see it too. It was crazy. And yes, he's 13 years old. I couldn't believe it myself too, but he's smaller than me, but he's coming there. So that was crazy. My other aunt arrived, my uncle arrived, and the hard part about this all was I didn't speak any Portuguese, and I still don't, and I'm gonna learn it. My sister understands it because she has been there for like 2 months, but it was hard for me because I couldn't say anything to them. The only way of like communicating that we had was via Google Translate. So like you see in the pictures, we had to like type it on our phone, then give our phone to them so they could type something back, and that was how it, you know, went over and over. So finally we had 2 translators arriving. And when I say translators, I mean 2 friends that my sister made while at a festival in Brazil. And one of the names was Vasco. And Vasco is, very simply said, a gay friend that my sister met in Brazil on a festival. Vasco, an awesome guy, Vesco is a guy who's traveling the world and working at different places and then traveling again to work in another place. Vesco is very good at speaking Portuguese and translating it to English and back and forth. So Vesco really helped us that day. Translating, and Vesco had a friend that he brought, and for the love of God, I'm so sorry dude, I can't remember your name. But he sat next to me that day and we talked, and he translated like the messages that I had from my family and so forth. So we walked through São Paulo to this place to have like something to drink. So we sat down for like 4 or 5 hours just talking and looking around, you know. I'm looking around, looking at Brazil, you know, looking how São Paulo looks like. We drank till like I think 7 o'clock, and then we would split up. We would say goodbye, we would edit them on Facebook. My sister and I would go with Vesco and his friend into the city, and there was actually a party going on somewhere. And let me say something, this was the craziest night of my life, like party wise. The things that I've seen it's crazy how open the community of São Paulo is in just accepting all kinds of sexualities. It's crazy. I mean, I've seen things that if you would do back in the Netherlands, people would look weird at you. I've seen things over there at the party that were encouraged, where if you would do these things back in the Netherlands, people would look weird at you. And I really love that people would feel so comfortable just doing them in the open, and I really loved it. It was a crazy experience. Came back home totally drunk, pain in my stomach, but I had a great night, took a shower and went straight to bed, because the next day was going to be the biggest day of my life. So it is Monday and I went to see my biological mother after 20 years being separate. And I need to explain the situation before I can even talk about this situation. I've talked with my sister and she's okay with releasing this part of the information. I'm 21 years old. My mother at this moment is 36 years old. My mother had me at a very young age and was not able to support me, either my sister or anybody else. And very simply said, my mother right now is in a Brazilian prison. The realization for me for this was one thing. Yes, we found her. It sounds weird, but I was also happy that she was in a prison, because the streets can be much worse in Brazil than a prison. This meant that she had a roof over her head, so I was already really happy to have yeah, sorry guys, wow. So we went to the prison and we took an Uber ride, which was a very long ride to the prison. So we arrived at the prison, and the first thing that we were told was like, we couldn't bring our bags inside. We could only bring our passports and, you know, ourselves. We couldn't bring anything else, no phone, no keys, nothing. So we had to go across the street to bring our bags, you know, everything, because we would leave our hostel that day and then go to another place, another place to sleep. So we had all of our bags with us. So we handed our bags over at this like truck stop, I think, and then would go back with only our passports. So we were led into the prison. We had to walk for I think 200 meters. You know, they checked our passports. We went to a scan, seeing if we're not having anything in our body or anything with us. And then we came at like the second ring. And we went through the second ring. There was a building, really beautiful building actually. And we went inside, and there was this really big hall, like this open hall with all like chairs to the side, and this big like glass table with the miniature of the whole building. And very simply said, the building looked beautiful, and that really calmed me down, like knowing the place looked like this, instead of all of the things that are like brewing up in your head when you're like thinking of a prison or thinking about somebody like living, you know, on the streets in Brazil. We were instructed to like sit on the chairs and wait. And yeah, this can like take from a few minutes to a few hours. My sister sat down at, you know, the chair for like 2 hours the first time she was there. So I was, you know, patient and just waiting, drinking cups of water. I was stressed. Our family had given us some pictures of our mother. The picture was very small. I have it here for you guys. This was the picture given to me by my grandmother to show me how my mother looked like. And honestly, looking at the picture, I thought it was like a different woman, like I didn't recognize her. So this moment came where my mother, like my biological mother, actually like came through the door, like, and not in chains, like it is a normal way of meeting, like totally different than you have in mind. Just, you know, I want to don't. It's not normal clothes. Everybody has like this, of course, this uniform. But just a normal woman. My bio, sorry guys. So there was this woman, my biological mother, standing, you know, in front of the door, and I was looking at her, and you know, she had tears in her eyes, and I wasn't like sure because I had seen so many people come and go through that door. So I was like, yeah, waiting till like I got the confirmation, and then I was sitting there, and my sister, I heard in like my ear going, "Get up, that is your mother," and I was like, no way. It was so weird. Like I said, I had the picture, so I had something completely different in my mind. We walked up together. We walked up to each other, held each other for I don't know how long, and when, you know, we let go of each other, I looked, you know, at her, and again, that same smile behind all of the tears is that same smile that I have, and that, you know, like I said, seeing the resemblance, it was crazy. We sat down on the chairs on the side, and we talked. We just talked, and something really cool. The night before I came, my mother heard that I would come the next day, and she made this for me. This is a stuffed animal that my mother made in prison for me, and yeah, this is crazy. I will always keep this near me, and yeah, I can't explain it in words what I felt and what I'm feeling like looking at this. And there was even more. My mother made this whole bag for my sister, and I took it with me already. And yeah, this is all handmade, which is like crazy to my opinion. And she made even more. She made like 4 or 5 of these, and I didn't even know what they were until somebody else showed me. But yeah, something like this, I think. But I don't know if it's like used if you're gonna eat, but I'm not gonna use this if, you know, when I eat, because it's too precious to me and I have to give it back to my sister. So after a while we had to go, and we had like 3 hours. I think we were there at 12 and we had to leave at 3. I was really calmed down, like I said, you know. I was satisfied to see like the situation that she was in wasn't like things that I had seen on TV about prisons in Brazil or Thailand or wherever. It was a beautiful building. My mother was okay. She told me that she was okay. My mother actually has a job in the prison. She loves to cook, and she's like the main cook of the whole prison. So it's really, it was really beautiful to see that. It was all, it's hard to put this in words, but I was satisfied with all of the things that I got to know that day, the questions that I got to ask, the answers that I got, and just the, you know, seeing my biological mother for the first time. So my sister and I after that had to go, so we went back and picked up our stuff, brought it to the hostel which my sister had booked, went back into São Paulo, and we went to one of the many orphanage homes that I had been in while I was a child. Yeah, it was also crazy. It had now been like transferred, rebuilt into this school for children. After that, me and my sister, we went to eat somewhere, had a nice lunch, and we went back to the hostel. This would be my last day in Brazil, and I didn't want to like sleep in the place that my sister had booked. I had saved up some money, so I would use the money to like have a better hostel for the last night. So I changed from hostel to hotel, paid 50 euros for one night, and I slept 9 floors up. I had a beautiful view of the whole city. It was an awesome night. I ordered some room service, which took a horrible long time because people were not speaking English, blah blah blah. But I got my pizza, it was really nice. I ate like half of it because I got like full, and then was thinking to myself, well, there are so many people in Brazil like scavenging the streets just for something to eat. So I went down to the lobby with my pizza in my hand and just walked outside looking for the first person that I thought that could use this pizza better than me. Really funny, this guy on his bare feet and I handed him this pizza and he was so thankful and he wanted to give me something in return. So I was like, what are you gonna give me? This is true. This is a true story. This guy walks up to me, thanking me, you know, shaking my hand. Thank you, thank you. He goes around his bag. So I was like thinking, oh, he's gonna pull a gun or what is gonna happen? He pulled like all kinds of magazines and I was like, what is this? He like laid them out on the floor and I was like looking and they were all like Playboy, Penthouse, Hustler magazines. And he was like pointing at me like, you can take one, you know, like because I gave him something to eat. He wanted me to also have a great night. I left and I declined. And I just went back up. I watched a few Flash episodes on my phone. I took a bath to really like let everything sink in. And just think about what had happened that day. I went to sleep and had an awesome night rest. Tuesday. Tuesday was the last day for me in Brazil. It started off again early because I had to wake up early to be able to get the breakfast in my hotel. It was awesome, like a continental breakfast, just, you know, like what you expect from a bigger hotel. So when I was done with breakfast, I put my stuff back and I went back to my room, packed in my whole bag, and I was done at 10 and I had to leave the room at 12. So I was like, well, I can still go back up and make some pictures of the city because I was sleeping at 9 high. But the building I was in was 20 floors. So I went to the 20th floor and the view was amazing. I went even more up. There were like stairs to like the 21st floor, which you couldn't reach by, you know, by feet. And I was standing on the roof and I took some beautiful pictures of São Paulo. I didn't have my camera with me, but I had my phone with me. So I made some pictures and, you know, just took it all in me, like the whole city. And the funny thing about this like hotel where I slept, it was right across the street of the hostel where we slept in for the first night. So I was able to like look down on the hostel where we slept the first night I was in Brazil. So after that I would meet up with my sister and Mother Africa. Mother Africa arrived a bit more early than my sister and we were talking in the lobby and just, you know, about my experience meeting my mother, and she, again, thank you if you're watching this, gave me great knowledge and just an overall new view of, you know, life. If it sounds not too high and mighty all about this, but she really opened my eyes about some things, and I want to thank you for helping us and for helping my sister. But later on my sister came and the three of us, we would go back into Brazil for like the last day and we would go to the embassy. So the embassy is the group of people that actually helped Mother Africa find our mother and our grandmother. And my sister would go to the police station and Mother Africa went to the embassy. And at the end of the day they would come back together and they would like share their information, what they had found. And this was already before I was in Brazil. The police was also able to do this, so at the end of the day my sister and Mother Africa had the same information. But the people at the embassy also really wanted to see us, so we went there. We talked for, I don't know, I think an hour or two. We took some pictures and we went back into São Paulo. We bought some clothes. Also this shirt, I bought another shirt, and a few days before that I also bought a shirt of Rick and Morty. And after that we would go and have some lunch. And we went to this place, a Peruvian place if I say it right. And they were friends of Mother Africa. Had awesome food, took some pictures, and then was actually time for me to leave. So I went back to the hostel, which was like really nearby, but it was pouring rain. So I took a cab all the way to the airport, arrived a bit early, went through check-in, so I wanted to board the plane early and be the first one in my seat and I would be able to go to sleep. But because of the weather, the flight crew had been delayed. They weren't able to reach the airport. So after an hour of delay, we were finally able to board the plane and take off. The flight itself, it was okay. I was sitting at a really nice seat. I was able to pick my seat on the flight back. My seat had a lot of leg room and I was just able to have a good night of sleep. And that was really needed because I needed to think about everything that had happened during this trip and think about what I wanted to do next. Because this was not just a trip that I took, but also like one of my friends, Røde, actually described this as a soul trip. And that's also how I look back at this whole trip. Because I never imagined that I would have the possibility, you know, even the chance of seeing family like from, you know, the bloodline. I always said to myself, she isn't alive anymore. That was the way that I dealt with, you know, all of this. Knowing that my mother was way too young to have me, I didn't expect my mother to still be alive. And then to get that message that my mother was still alive, I immediately booked a plane ticket and I went to Brazil. And this whole situation and this whole experience has changed me positively. The biggest example that I can give you guys, the people that know me more personally know that I like, you know, things that are a bit more expensive, like branded clothing. You guys in my videos have seen me rocking Babe, Polo, Gucci. It's all cool and all, but seeing the difference that people live in and the things that I'm, you know, like getting worked up over, it is so different. You know, it's so, you know, you can't even compare it anymore. And that's why I have invested the money that I had in a GoPro right now instead of, you know, expensive clothing. A GoPro, to my opinion, has more like use to it, and this all like information that you guys don't want to hear, but really more thinking about everything and what I wanted to like do with my life has really like been because of this trip. But I'm going on way too long right now. I just want to end this video right here and with very simply said, thank you to Mother Africa, also Louise. Thank you so much. Thank you to Vasco. Vasco, thank you for translating Show Me São Paulo. It was awesome. Thank you to my family members that I met. I can't name all of you. There are too many, literally. Thank you so much. Claudia, thank you for actually finding our mother in Brazil. Like, honestly, mad respect. I myself could not do it, honestly, so thank you. And thank you for taking care of me while I was there. I would have not even been able to get from the airport to our hostel the first day, so thank you for picking me up. And the biggest thank you to my parents here in the Netherlands for giving me the chance to go to Brazil. Because all of what you guys have just seen, all of it has been made possible by my parents here in the Netherlands. And I really want to thank you for this, you know, opportunity and making this possible for me. And all I can say is thank you. Thank you all. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out. Whoa.